Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at a power supply which is going to be perfect for budget builders and system flippers. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so today we're going to take a look at the EVGA 450 BT power supply. Now this is a budget power supply. So if you're in the building market and you're making a budget PC with maybe a Ryzen 3 or a lower end Ryzen 5 and you're going for some quite inexpensive build in and around the sort of £300 to £500 mark of total system build price, this is pretty much going to be perfect for you. Now this power supply is going to be suitable for pretty much 90% of all systems on the market. So maybe you've got an old Dell or HP pre-build and you're looking at maybe doing a slight upgrade, or maybe you're a system flipper and you've just bought one of those old OEM systems, you're going to stick a graphics card in it and maybe put it into a newer case. This is going to be right up your street. So you may be thinking 450 watts, that doesn't sound like a great deal. And to be completely honest, it isn't. It isn't a massive amount of wattage for a system. So if maybe you're looking at a RTX type card or a Ryzen 7 or a high-end Intel chip, this isn't the power supply for you. But again, like I said, for low-end builds and for those budget conscious amongst us, this is perfect. And also, it's got a nice feature, which is all black cabling. So if you are a system flipper and you're going to put some old Intel 1155 kit into a nice new shiny case with a side window, you can build your system with this and have all the cables look really nice and not have that horrible ketchup and mustard inside your PC. And it's not going to cost you a great deal. Now at the moment in the UK, these retail on Amazon for about £33, which again isn't a lot of money. Now I actually bought this one as a Amazon warehouse deal because it had some damaged packaging, which you can probably just about make out from the front there. But the actual power supply inside looks to be completely brand new, and when I took it out of the box, it's still got that lovely brand new smell to it. So let's go through some of the specifications of this from the box, just to give you an idea of what it can do and what it will provide you. So from the box you've got features, so you've got stable power with very low electrical ripple and noise, which low ripple is always a good thing to have in a power supply. Some of the cheaper power supplies on the market, such as the CITs and other sort of unknown brands, the power ripple can be pretty horrendous, so it really is best to avoid those. Even if they are at a good price, around about the sort of £20 to £25 mark, it is actually worth spending a few pounds more just to get something with a bit of a brand name to it, such as EVGA, which is a fantastic brand, and also to get something with good ripple control. So it provides up to 35 amps or 420 watts on the 12 volt rail, and it is a single 12 volt rail, not a split rail. You've got all the protections on there, so you've got over voltage, under voltage, all those kinds of things. Again, I'll put links in the description below to EVGA's site so you can check out the specifications for yourself. The too long don't read is this is a pretty good power supply for the money. Not the highest of wattage, but certainly not a bad power supply. And being that it's 80 plus bronze rated, it's obviously going to be better than some of the white or unrated power supplies that you can get at this price point. So let's take it out of the box and see what type of connectors we get and what the cabling is actually like. Now this power supply, although it's branded by EVGA, is actually the OEM for these is Superflower, which are actually quite a decent OEM. Right, so you get a UK power plug, which may or may not be relevant to you depending where you're watching this. You get an instruction guide, and also it gives you some idea of wattages on there as well. And you get a little bag of screws. So that's pretty much everything that's actually in the box. So this is the power supply itself. As you can see, it's still factory wrapped, even though it was a warehouse deal. So here's the power supply itself, and as you can see, it's in a nice satin matte black finish, and on one side you've got the EVGA logo stamped into the side, so if you want a slightly more muted look, then that is the side to choose. Or alternatively, if you want to go on that side and you want to see some branding, you've got the EVGA logo and all the specifications on there, which actually I don't find too offensive at all. On the top, again, very minimal labeling, serial number, that kind of thing. Nothing too out of the ordinary. On the back you've got a really nice grille, and it's pretty much fully open all the way across. And one thing which is nice actually is a hardware power on off switch. So if you have got a problem with your PC and you need to turn it off, you don't have to yank the power plug out, you can just turn it on or off, which actually, again, at this price point, you don't always get an on-off switch, which is pretty remarkable in 2019. So that's pretty much it for the power supply itself. So let's take a look at the cabling in a little bit more detail. Now, as you can probably see already, all the cabling is completely black, and also the main or major cables are all sleeved as well. So to give a little bit of extra protection in systems should there be any jagged edges, and keep the cables nice and safe and secure. So let's start with the cables that you probably aren't going to use. Although saying that, if you are going to be using this in a flip PC and you're putting some RGB and stuff like in there, these are going to be quite handy. Despite the fact we all loathe them, you get 3 Molex connectors and also a old floppy drive connector. Now you're probably thinking, why is there a floppy drive connector? Now actually this can be quite handy. If you're using maybe a USB 3 card which plugs into the PCI ports, sometimes they can actually be self-powered with one of those connectors, so that is actually quite nice to have. Again, it's a little bit of a niche thing, you probably won't need it, so those wires will probably be tucked away and never used. But again, because they use this nice flat black licorice cable sleeving, it's quite easy to hide out of the way in maybe an unused drive bay, or just leave it at the back of the PC. So moving on to the next ones, we've got 2 lots of SATA connectors. So each one of those connectors has 2 SATAs. So ideally, again, if you've got a case which has maybe got an RGB controller which uses the SATA connection, you can route one of these down the back of the PC to the SATA controller, or sorry, to the RGB controller to power that, and you've still got 2 cables to connect up, maybe a SATA SSD and also a hard disk drive. And generally they tend to go in the similar places in a drive bay, so 2 cables should be more than enough. Obviously, if you're looking at using 4 or more drives, again, this power supply probably isn't for you. Again, with the wattage and also the amount of connectors, it's probably not going to do the job. This is really for your budget builds. So next one is the CPU power. Now this has got the P4 and P8 connectors, so depending whether you need to use both or not, both options are covered. Again, if you're putting this into maybe an OEM system where the power supply's failed, then you can just use a single 4-pin, or if you're building a slightly more modern system that uses the 8-pin connector, you're fully catered for. And again, it's nice black cabling, so you can plug in, do some nice cable management, and for all intents and purposes, the power supply is going to be pretty much invisible. Next one is our main board connector. This is the 20 or 24-pin connector. Again, for some OEM systems, if you're just using the 20-pin, you can use that no problem at all. Or for more modern systems that require 20 plus 4 or 24-pin, you can plug that in. Again, on the cabling, we've got this nice black cabling, which is going to look okay. It's not going to be that horrible ketchup and mustard, which does actually put some people off buying a system. And also, in my opinion, actually, with ketchup and mustard cabling, even if you've got a really nice system, it does detract from the overall aesthetics and does cheapen the look of the system. Again, you can use cable extensions, but realistically, for the price of an extra £5 or so against one of those low-end power supplies, this is a really good option. And the last one. Now this is probably going to be the most important for some of you that are doing system flipping. Now this is your PCI Express graphics cards connectors. So this has 2 6-pin connectors which also double up as 8-pin connectors. So really, if you're using a card which needs both of these connectors, again, possibly this power supply isn't for you. I would say the maximum range that you'd want to use with this particular power supply is a Ryzen 5 and maybe an RX 580. That would probably be the limit of what I would push this power supply to. Again, it is 85% efficient at the rated wattage, but you probably don't want to keep it in that range for too long. So ideally, this kind of thing is going to be suited to your more budget end graphics cards, RX 580s, 570s, maybe a GTX 1060, something along those lines. But again, because you have the option for 2 PCI Express connectors, you could go for a slightly higher end card if you wanted to, if your budget is really super tight. So there we go, there is a quick overview and look at the EVGA 450 watt BT power supply. For me, I think this is perfect. I'm going to be doing a build very shortly using the Ryzen 3 2200G in a micro ATX build with a Thermaltake Cube PC case. There's not going to be a graphics card in there, so for that particular purpose, with just a couple of hard drives, a modest CPU is going to be absolutely fantastic. And because the case has got see-through side windows on both sides, the black cabling is going to fit in absolutely fantastically. So if you've got any comments or questions on this power supply, feel free to put them in the comments section below. But in the meantime, I've been Mike, This is Mike's unboxing reviews and how to, and we will catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.